clear of the closing doors, please.
This is an absolutely horrible day for the New York Mets. There's no other way to put it. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to come out with some, crazy bravado. Just an absolutely embarrassing day for the New York Mets as they are swept in a doubleheader at the hands of the Baltimore Orioles. A day where the Mets had a 1-0 lead with their starter working into the 8th inning. Find a way to lose that game and then come out in game 2 and are absolutely flat in every possible way. The bullpen game went about exactly how all of us as fans knew that it was going to go. Brandon Waddell is lit up. You've got what's-his-face, doesn't matter, give a crap anymore because I'm so sick of watching these freaking losers pitch for the Mets. We are literally punting games. We are literally forfeiting games every time we have a bullpen game with these absolute scrubs, Justin Hagemans and Brandon Waddells pitching for us. That is why Game 1 of this doubleheader was so freaking important. And the Mets blow it because they don't have a reliable reliever they can go to when David Peterson gets into his first little bit of trouble in the 8th inning. And we all knew what was going to happen after that. The Mets crapped down their legs in Game 1 in the 8th inning, and we all knew exactly what was going to happen. The bullpen game was going to be an outright disaster, and that is exactly what it was. The offense, once again, absolutely lifeless. 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position in game 2. 1 for 11 with runners in scoring position in the first game. That is a combined 2 for 19 with runners in scoring position on the day between the two games. The offense was horrible. The bullpen pitchers with Waddell and with the Hageman were terrible once again. The Mets totally blow a golden opportunity to take 2 out of 3 in Baltimore. And you know what? Even the one freaking game that they won this series on Tuesday was not impressive by any means. They barely squeaked that one out. They're trailing 6-2 in the 8th inning. They are lucky to have gotten 2 separate 2-run homers from Pete Alonso and from Francisco Lindor, because then in the 10th inning of that game, they have the bases loaded with 1 out and they can't get another freaking run across. This was not a good series for the Mets. This is how the Mets looked for that entire 3-week stretch of terrible baseball. I thought they were out of it. I did. They won 2 out of 3 versus Milwaukee. They won 2 out of 3 versus the Yankees. Very nearly won Sunday's game after falling behind 5-0. They have the comeback win on Tuesday, but that was a mirage. We are in the desert. We're looking for water. That was just a freaking mirage. Our mind playing tricks on us. Or really, it's David Stearns playing tricks on us. Because here's the deal. Every time the Mets throw out one of these garbage Uber driver bullpen games, you are waving the white flag. You are automatically saying to the Philadelphia Phillies, here you go. Here's another half game that you can gain on us. We don't need it. It's fine. The Mets now fall 1.5 games back. We lose a full game to the Phillies in the standings today, and they don't even play today. Absolute joke of management from David Stearns to allow this to continue. Another bullpen game, and that is why the first game was of the utmost importance to win, especially when you're leading 1-0 in the 8th inning with David Peterson on the mound still. And that is why I criticize Carlos Mendoza as much as I did in my first game recap, because you should have stuck with him, or you should have not let him begin the 8th inning. But going to Ryan Stanek in that spot with the leadoff batter aboard him, with Gunnar Henderson looming to pinch hit, and what does he do? Hit the 2-run homer. The O's add another one. They win that game 3-1, and you just knew the Mets had no chance in this second game. Even after starting with a 2-0 lead, they put 2 runs up in the first, and almost immediately gives it right back, does Brandon Waddell. He loads the bases with 2 outs. Fortunate to get a line out and keep it scoreless. But the very next half inning, what do the Orioles do? 3 runs on the board, 2-run shot from Cowser. Just an absolutely embarrassing game, and it starts at the top with David Stearns. You had Nolan McLean pitching yesterday for AAA. He could have been scratched from that start and been making his big league debut today. Nolan McLean should have been starting this game for the Mets this evening. The Mets instead decide, no, we're good. We're going to keep going with Brandon Waddell and with I don't even give a shit what his name is. Haga shit is what he is. Another horrible freaking loss for the Mets. What's up, guys? I'm Tony Metro. I'm pissed off. Mets get swept in the doubleheader. Game 2 final of 7-3. Just a lifeless game. All up and down the lineup. All up and down if you were talking about the relievers that pitched this game. Guys that don't belong on a big league mound. And I am really irritated. The Mets had a golden opportunity to take 2 out of 3 versus Baltimore to win their 3rd consecutive series, to head into the final series of the season with the chance to potentially win 4 consecutive series, and they let it go by the wayside. I am so friggin' irritated, but if you guys are as pissed as I am, be sure to subscribe if you are new. I do daily Mets content. Recap after every single Mets game. This is the second one today, and both I am equally as pissed. I might actually be a little more pissed in this one than I was in my game 1 recap. But you guys definitely please leave this video a like. I appreciate it. It goes a long way toward helping the channel. Let's go over to the chat. Explosive Diarrhea, what's up, my man? I haven't seen you in a little while. He says, hey, Tony, this is why I didn't buy into the Mets during the Yankees series. They were slumping at the time, and pitching was in shambles as far as the Yankees. Okay, fair enough. They did look a lot better in that series. They were playing more sound defensively. Today, the defense was just miserable, at least in game 2, between Lindor, Beatty making that error that cost the Mets another run. After that, just forget it. The game was over after that Beatty error that allows a second run to score there. I think that was in the 5th or 6th inning for the, I think it was the 5th, yeah, for the Orioles to make it 5-3. But, I mean, the Mets looked a lot better in that series against Milwaukee and against the Yankees. And then, obviously, they have the comeback on Tuesday. But in the end, now, looking back, hindsight tells me, well, they were lucky to really even win Tuesday. They got 2 homers in the 8th inning to tie the game in a 4-run deficit. How often does that happen? Not very often at all. And then they get bulldozed in this game, and in game 1 they blow it partly because of their manager, partly because they don't have any legitimate relievers that you can trust in a 1-run game. But I hear you, Explosive Diarrhea. What it is what it is. Mark, what are the Mets doing? I don't freaking know. David Stearns, why was Nolan McLean not starting this game? He pitched yesterday, strikes out 10 guys for the 2nd consecutive start. Dude has struck out 20 batters in his last 11 innings. Why is he not ready? Explain this to me like I'm 5. Why is he not getting the call to the big leagues? He has a 2.25 ERA in AAA for the Syracuse Mets. He should have been making the start for the Mets here in game 2. Instead, like I said, every time the Mets are willing to put out this group of relievers for a bullpen game, it is literally a punt. We are literally handing the Phillies a half a game because no offense in the league would be able to overcome the piss poor pitching that we have been seeing from Brandon Waddell, from Justin Hageman, from these no names that they have picked up off the street within the last 3 weeks. This is unacceptable, and I blame David Stearns for tonight's loss. Explosive Diarrhea, we see now back to our Mets with the red flags. Yep, that's how it goes. Armand says, hey, Tony, this was disgusting. Yes, Armand, I am livid. I am not proud to admit it, but my vacuum cleaner, I don't know if it's going to work anymore. I might have given it a little bit of a kick. So I don't think my vacuum cleaner is, it's going to probably need a 10 or maybe 60-day injured list stint. The vacuum did not survive today's Mets getting swept in the doubleheader. So yeah, it's been a bad day, a very bad one indeed. Armand says Mike Puma tweeted Mets win a combined 2 for 19 with runners in scoring position. Yes, that's correct. So they go 1 for 8 tonight in game 2 of the doubleheader with runners in scoring position. And they end up going 1 for 11 in game 1. Ignore the graphic. I produced it before I actually was ready to, I actually produced it before the final out because I knew the Mets weren't coming back to win this game. But yes, 1 for 8 with runners in scoring position tonight. The bats were just horrible at bats. And who did we face? 41-year-old Charlie Morton in game 1, who had an ERA over 5. And in game 2, 35-year-old Tomoyuki Sugano with an ERA of 4.55. And the Mets lineup that is making $200 million friggin' couldn't touch either of them. They got 3 runs against each of them, or 3 runs against Sugano, 1 run off Charlie Morton. They both able to dance out of trouble on multiple occasions. The Mets bats went limp tonight and in the day cap or day, whatever you want to call it. Just a bullshit effing performance from the Mets today, man. I am so freaking annoyed at this team. They throw Ryan into, Mark says they throw Ryan, and guess what? He gives up 3 runs and walks 4 guys. What are they thinking in a close game? I mean, they could have went to Reed Garrett. They could have went to Huascar Brazaban. Those 2 dudes have done exactly what Ryan Stanek did today. That is why I said the Mets should have stuck with David Peterson in game 1. Once you send him out there for the 8th inning, why wouldn't you just stick with him? Why wouldn't you stick with a guy that has only given up 5 hits to that point? None of them extra base hits. None of them hit particularly hard. Why not let your sinker ball starter try to get a double play? That was my beef with Mendoza after game 1. He said he already threw 90 pitches in 7 innings. You know, he kind of did his job already. Well, then why did you send him out for the 8th? I don't get that decision, and it completely affects what happens in game 2 because we knew we didn't stand a chance with this bullpen game. And that is my problem with David Stearns. We as fans all know that when we are going to use a combination of Justin Hageman and of Brandon Waddell, it is almost guaranteed to be chalked up to a loss. Why as fans do we know that, but David Stearns doesn't? Why doesn't David Stearns find something else that we could use? Because we are literally just forfeiting a game. Just raise the white flag when we have to throw one of these bullpen games. I won't even call it a bullpen game because these dudes don't belong on a major league mound. Red Bear Fox, what's up? Good to see Vientos back on track. I think that's a little bit of a joke, right? Because it better be. 2 hits in the first game, great. What does he do today? 2 strikeouts, each with a runner aboard in this one. I think he had 2 runners aboard when he struck out. It was probably in the 3rd inning, and then he does it again there in the 9th with a runner aboard. Mark Vientos looks like trash. Ghost of Maiden's Peak, what's up? Red Bear Mets turned the Yankee season around. I wouldn't say that. The Yankees always beat up on the Mariners. That's no surprise there. Every team that is from the West Coast or in the Central quiver at the thought of going to Yankee Stadium. I don't understand it, but it just is what it is. I don't think the Yankee season is turned around by any means. Absol says something has to be done with this lineup again. Red Hot Royals coming up next. Not going to be easy. What is it about these American League freaking teams that just give the Mets fit? I don't get it. Why are these American League teams so freaking good against us? We can't find a way to beat them. It is like this every year. The Rays absolutely bitch slapped the Mets at Citi Field earlier this year when that whole freaking saga began. Then we lose this one 2 out of 3 to the Orioles. It seems like every time we play an American League team, they just mess with us. They just screw us up. I don't get it. We lost 2 out of 3 to Boston earlier this season as well. Like, I don't understand why we can't beat American League teams. It just doesn't make any sense. Armand says, Mark says the Mets have to trade Mark. I thought you meant like they have to trademark. Like trademark what? Oh yeah, Vientos. They got to trade Vientos. I mean, for what? Who wants Mark Vientos at this point? Like, he's going to have to be a part of a bigger deal. He is clearly not the centerpiece of a trade at this point because what the hell is he? He had 110 good games last year and a really good October. And outside of that, he has been like a 215 hitter. He looks horrible. Great. He had a base hit and a double earlier in game 1. Well, he comes back and he strikes out 2 more times here in game 2. Goes 0 for 4. Batting average down to 213. OPS to 617. Who believes in Mark Vientos at this point? Even me, who's been the most stringent Mark Vientos defender, saying I still believe it's in him and that he is still the future third baseman of this team, cannot stand by anymore and defend him. He looks awful. I don't understand what happened to Mark Vientos. Armand says per sleeper Mets are now 17-19 since June 1st and are now 32-31 since May 1st. That is not good. That is the exact opposite of what the Mets were doing in the second half last year, where it all began in June. They had the best record in baseball, probably right up until that point in May, where this all kind of began for the Mets, but just a game over 500 in the last 2 months. And that is why I am as excited as I can't even freaking speak, guys, why I am as frustrated as I am in this stream, because This is not just they lost 2 out of 3 to the Orioles. They got swept in the doubleheader. No, this is a mounting frustration from 2 months where we thought we were out of those really bad times from that 3-week stretch that included the 7-game losing streak and the 5-game losing streak, including a sweep from the Pirates. And now it looks like maybe they're not out of it. Maybe this is really truly who they are. They're just going to be an up and down, inconsistent team where the offense will do enough some nights, but more often than not, they are not going to come through for you. And we're going to have bullpen games, and you're going to have mind-blowing, I mean, not mind-blowing, really just mindless decisions from Carlos Mendoza as far as his bullpen management like we saw in game 1. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm at anymore. I thought I did. I thought the Mets were getting back to the way we were seeing them play ball for the first 2 months of this season where they look like a first-place team. But this series, even considering the game 1 comeback on Tuesday, is very, very concerning about where I think this Mets team is heading. I really don't know at this point. Sandman Games, what's up, dude? How you doing? I'm going to get to you in a second, though, but real quick, let me go. Omar Nunez, can we please trade Mendoza within last week? Didn't walk Judge, left Holmes in too long, and now takes Peterson out too early for an unreliable stand, costing games and now not admitting mistakes. That is the biggest thing that irritates me about Mendy after today's game 1. He doesn't admit the mistake. He doesn't admit it on Sunday about not walking Aaron Judge. He was asked about it. He said, well, Giancarlo Stanton's on deck. I don't like that matchup either. Okay, well, I'd rather face Giancarlo Stanton than Aaron Judge. I think everyone in the world would agree with that statement. Then today, taking Peterson out, he says he threw 90 pitches. He gave us 7 innings. He did his job. He was on a batter-by-batter basis in the 7th inning already. Okay, well then, why did you send him out for the 8th inning? Why did you even let him go if he didn't have any rope to continue pitching deeper into the 8th inning? And why would you go to Stanek, a right-hander, when you know the best player and guy that finished 4th in American League MVP voting last year, and Gunnar Henderson, is just waiting to be inserted into this game at the first sign of a right-handed pitcher on the mound? There were a lot of mistakes from Carlos Mendoza this week, including pulling Clay Holmes against the Brewers, going to Reed Garrett when Holmes only had 90 pitches. We all know how that one ended in the series opener against Milwaukee. So a lot of mistakes from Carlos Mendoza over the last week. He's always going to give manager speak. It's what they do, but I don't like the answers or explanations that I have been getting from him. I totally agree with you there, Omar Nunez. Very good comment. I appreciate it, man. Let's go over to the screen here. I'm going to share with you guys so you can see what I'm looking at. This sucked. This game sucked. There's our boy CP's true Mets talk. Good Mets fan. Check his stuff out. This sucked. What are you going to do, man? Just a brutal freaking way to lose 2 out of 3. And yeah, like I said, Puma has it as well. I was first, but Puma, Mets went a combined 2 for 19 with runners in scoring position in getting swept by the Orioles in the doubleheader. And this, of course, is only magnified by the fact that Jesse Winker left game 1 with back stiffness. He is heading back to New York for an MRI. Basically automatically put him on the injured list. See you again in September if we're lucky, Jesse. But man, it's just like when it rains, it pours for the Mets, right? We just can't lose like normal teams. No, we have to not only have a total meltdown in game 1, then we have to watch this slop excuse for a bullpen pitch game 2, and in the process, lose our DH after having him for just 1 game after returning from the injured list. It's just like never not chaos for the Mets when things are going bad. It rains, it pours, right? Sandman Games, win 1, lose 3, win, lose 4, bad math, LOL, the pain, bro. Yeah, I can't, the numbers are giving me a headache even just trying to look at it, but yes, 100%. Omar says Mendoza cope out and doesn't admit his mistakes. He makes nonsense excuses for clear mistakes. Those were mistakes. Not walking Aaron Judge on Sunday to get to Giancarlo Stanton was a mistake. I believe pulling Clay Holmes when he was only at 90 pitches with 1 out in the 6th against the Brewers last, I think that would have been Thursday, was a mistake. And then deciding to pull David Peterson after a leadoff base hit in the first game of today's doubleheader was a mistake. And he is not admitting to it. And that's probably the most frustrating thing. The actually worst thing I think of it all is he's not learning from his mistakes. And this was something that I thought Mendoza had in him, was a nice blend of analytics and of gut. I thought he really did a good job last year of being a little bit by the book and by the numbers, but I'm also into trusting my guys, like knowing what they can do and having faith in them. And I am not seeing that as much lately, and I don't know why. I don't know why we have been seeing so much more analytic and number pushing from Mendoza instead of just trusting his gut, trusting that his guy can get the job done. And it seems like it has backfired on him multiple times in the last week. Sandman Games, Royals know better. If we lose to Mendy is working at Taco Bell, LOL. Oh my God, can you imagine? Well, guess what, guys? I'm going to tomorrow's game and I'm going to Saturday's game in Kansas City. So pray for Tony, pray for Tony's girlfriend, because she is on high alert that I am not in a good mood after these 2 games today. And if you want to see me at my worst, watch me. Watch me tomorrow on my post-game stream from Kauffman Stadium. That's right. We'll be doing it live outside the stadium tomorrow. And let's see how Tony's feeling. It better be a dub. That's all I'm saying. For both my sake, the Mets' sake, and for my girlfriend's sake. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. Irv Wallace, what's good, bro? Still think the lineup is an issue. After 1 and 4, we are cooked. There's no link to the lineup. This has to be fixed, or inconsistency will continue with the lineup. Yeah, and that is why losing Jesse Winker sucks today, because at least when Jesse Winker was back into this lineup, okay, now it's a little bit more lengthened. Now you got Jesse hitting behind Pete in the 5 spot. Then you have Jeff McNeil, who's been having a pretty solid season, hitting 6. And you can kind of mask some of the shortcomings of the bottom of the lineup. You hope that Beatty and that Mauricio continue to do the little bit of contributions they've been given. I mean, Beatty obviously has a really brutal game with that fielding error, but also had the game-tying base hit with 2 outs in this one. So you're hoping that those guys can give you a little bit, and catcher at this point, whatever. It is what it is. Even in game 1, the only RBI hit in the game comes from Tyrone Taylor in center field. So yeah, we're not deep enough. I agree with that. But honestly, man, top of the lineup just didn't get the job done today in either of the 2 games either. So losing Jesse Winker is huge. We were hoping that he was back and good and no problems. But if he's going on the injured list, yeah, we're back to wondering, what are we going to get from the 6 through 9 spots, maybe even the 5 through 9 spots in this order. And you cannot win a division, let alone a World Series, with that type of lineup, with that many holes and that many question marks. So let's see. We got a lot of guys in here on the chat, and then I'm going to go over to the game log real quick and we'll go through that. Let me actually get off of weirdo Mike Puma's Twitter. He just revels when the Mets lose. He's always so pumped. Guys, like I said, the Mets started this game, go out in front 2-0. They get 2nd and 3rd with no out in the 1st inning, just like we began the first game, right? Except this time the Mets actually scored, not in the most impressive fashion. It's an RBI ground out from Soto. Pete Alonso hits a sac fly, and the Mets make it 2-0. You got Justin Hageman. No, it was Brandon Waddell starting this game. 1st inning, 2 outs, looking like it's going to be a clean 1-2-3 inning. Nope. Loads the bases with 2 outs. A line drive that just luckily, fortunately for the Mets, is right at Pete Alonso. We can breathe a little bit, but not for very long, because then the very next half inning, in the bottom of the 3rd, the Orioles come out and start scoring. They get the double from Alex Jackson, a bloop freaking double down the right field line from a no-name scrub catcher they just traded cash for to the Yankees to acquire. And it falls in for a freaking 2-bagger to make it a 1-run game. Of course, because it's the Mets. Why wouldn't that happen to us? It always happens to us. Some guy has a career game, just like the dude on Milwaukee last week against us. Whatever. We should know our lot in life by this point. But then it continues as Brandon Waddell serves up another big bomb. Jordan Westberg hitting a 2-run shot, and it's 3-2. Why bother watching at this point, right? It's 3-2. You got freaking Waddell on the mound. You're going to have to go to Hageman. Hageman actually gets a scoreless inning in the 4th, but, the Mets were able to tie it up 3-3 on the Brett Beatty 2-out single. And then Colton Cowser hits a single into right field. Soto picks it up. Ramon Urias hits one to the left side. It hits off of the glove of Brett Beatty. That makes it 5-3. Then in the 6th, Westberg hits one. Lindor makes a ridiculous play on, throws to home. He's safe anyway. Then Laureano beats out a double play. I mean, the Mets just looked like shit this series, okay? Let's call it how it is. The Mets look like absolute shit this series. They blow a game in the bullpen in game 1. They get the bullpen game of these scrubs pitching in game 2. And all the while, the offense, for the most part, was terrible outside of that 8th inning on Tuesday. And you, of course, have Carlos Mendoza's horrible decisions to go along with some really piss poor fielding from them all over the diamond. Shit game, shit series. Mets blew a golden opportunity, if you ask me. Sandman Games, Mets new mascot, Captain Underpants. I used to love those books, man. Those were the best. Explosive Diarrhea during the Yankee series. I asked, is it our offense or the Yankees pitching? Now we have our answer. It was the Yanks pitching. I mean, man, you might not be wrong about that. I really thought the Mets were back and going to be looking closer to what we saw for the first 2 months of the season, but maybe not at this point. Maybe I was fooled. Mark says, I think Soto should lead off only because he gets on base all the time. Plus, he can't hit when runners are in scoring position. I mean, it's not a bad idea, honestly, dude. I don't think he'll go for it, but, I mean, it's not a bad idea to have Soto go into the leadoff spot. I mean, I don't know what happened at the top of the lineup here in these 2 games here, but Pete with a really rough day despite having a sac fly to drive in that second run back in the 1st inning, but Pete also had a chance with 1st and 2nd and 2 outs back in the 5th inning. Couldn't take advantage of that. And then immediately the worm turns as the Orioles put a 2-spot up to take the lead. 2 more in the 6th. 7-3 before you know it, and the game's over. Like, the Mets just have no chance with the way they played this series. Absol says the OMG and Grimace Mets were better. Yeah, I know, man. I mean, it's hard to deny because, I mean, look what they did last year. I'm with you. I don't want to recreate that magic. I don't think it'll work, but whatever. Let's see. Irv says that's exactly who we are, bro, as far as like not knowing like what we're going to get out of this team on a night-to-night basis. Just inconsistent, man. Just an inconsistent team. You never know who's going to let you down, but more often than not, multiple facets of this team are going to let you down. The bullpen one day, the lineup the other, a starting pitcher, or in the case of today, I mean, I got to blame this one on David Stearns. I'm sorry. David Stearns allowing this to continue is embarrassing. $300 million payroll. A prospect who is shoving in AAA right now. Your 3rd overall prospect, a college arm. He's 23 years old. How much longer do we have to wait to see Nolan McLean? How much more do we need to see? Because it's obviously going to be a lot better than what we're getting out of Brandon Waddell and out of Justin Hageman. This is now the 2nd time in the final game of a series that the Mets just punted, just gave up. You can see it right here on my notes that I'm showing you on my screen. This was the game against the Yankees on Sunday. Chris Davinsky pitched 2 innings, scoreless ball there from him. Good job. Okay, then you had Eric Pop pitch. He gave us an inning and a 1/3 and 3 earned runs in the process. Then Waddell came in, 2 2/3 innings pitch, gave up 2 runs, a total of 5 earned runs from the Uber Squad bullpen. Game 2 against Milwaukee. Braziban opened that one up. They go to Tidwell. The Mets end up winning that game. Not exactly a great recipe for success, continuing to try to do that. And then, obviously, today, they start with Brandon Waddell, and then they go to Hageman, and they combine to allow, total of 5 earned runs. All 7 earned runs charged to these Uber driver bullpen pitchers that don't belong on a big league mound. David Stearns, fix this. This is unacceptable. We are not winning at a 660 clip anymore. Okay, we are fighting for 1st place. We are fighting with the Brewers for the wild card with the top spot. And you are literally raising the white flag for games anytime you don't have a starting pitcher ready. We cannot continue to pitch these kinds of arms in games that matter. They all matter when you are 1.5 games behind 1st place, when you are fighting 4, 5, 6 other teams for 3 wild card spots. They cannot continue to just forfeit freaking games the way they are right now. I'm so annoyed by it. Armand Singh, why couldn't Tidwell start today? That's a really good question because that did pop into my mind because obviously this would have been a perfect opportunity. And I just mentioned to you, he did take over in that game against Milwaukee last week after Braziban opened. So let's take a look real quick. And I didn't actually see when he last started, but we're going to find out together right now. So Tidwell pitched in that game against Milwaukee and then pitched on Wednesday. So he pitched on Wednesday. This was probably right around the time the Mets found out that they were rained out in Baltimore. But, I mean, they very easily could have just, scratched him from that start. I mean, they could have, but they didn't, and they paid the price today. It could have been Tidwell. Probably should have been Tidwell if you're not willing to call up Nolan McLean at this point. But Mets didn't have the foresight to do it. Tidwell pitched on Wednesday, and that be that. And that's why I'm here screaming today. Let's see. Sandman Games. Why can McLean be our fifth start? He's not ready. LOL. 10K, 6 innings pitch his last start. I don't get it either. I've been screaming from the high heavens. Bring up Nolan McLean. I am sick of this freaking group of bullpen pitchers. What a joke. I'm with you, Sandman Games. Red Bear Fox Tony, I think this second game was just a lineup full of awful hitters. He had Acuna, Vientos, Sanger in the lineup. And that's exactly why I say how important that first game was. I could have watched this second game without a care in the world because you knew, obviously, Luis Torrens wasn't going to catch both games of a doubleheader. So automatically, Hayden Sanger is in the lineup. Is that really even that much of a downgrade at this point with how Luis Torrens has been swinging the bat? You tell me. I don't know, honestly, at this point. But you knew Sanger was going to be in there. You knew you lost Jesse Winker. That is why winning game one, when you were leading 1-0 in the 8th inning with David Peterson still on the mound, was of the utmost importance. You win 2 out of 3 from Baltimore, and I don't care if you lose 20-0 in the nightcap. You did your job. You won the series. But no, Carlos Mendoza, Itchy Finger Mendoza, couldn't wait to pull David Peterson in the 8th inning, and it completely, immediately blows up in their face as they get swept in this one because, like you said, Red Bear Fox, an embarrassing AAA lineup on display here for the Mets in game 2. Acuna does nothing. You got nothing from Sanger, obviously. One of the ugliest strikeouts I've seen in quite some time. Just 3 sliders, whiff, whiff, whiff against Sugano. I mean, I don't think I'm overreacting. Am I? I don't know. Let's see. Let me go to Caden. What's up, man? In the DC, someone said they should trade Francisco Lindor. What do you think about that? He means in the Discord, which, guys, if you want to call into the show, feel free to do that right now. Link to that is in the video description here right now, and you could call in and I'll pop you in if you guys want to do live calls. I'll check Discord in the meantime if anybody is trying to get in, but no, we're not trading Francisco Lindor. I think that might have been Eddie who's a little crazy with that. We're not trading Francisco Lindor. He gets annoyed when Lindor is smiling after making an error, which he made tonight. Couple of not so great plays for Francisco Lindor in the field. Honestly, just an ugly friggin' game from everybody in the field, if you ask me. But no, we're not trading Francisco Lindor. Red Bear Fox, to be very honest, today was a massive choke by Alonso on a few occasions. Yes, I agree. Pete did not have a good day. He had that opportunity with 2nd and 3rd and 1 out in the 1st inning of game 1, and he struck out. I think he had another chance in that game as well. Couldn't get the job done. And then has a sac fly in the 1st inning of game 2, but then with 1st and 2nd and 2 outs, I believe that was back in the 5th inning, unable to come through, weak little ground out to end that threat. So not a good day for Pete Alonso at all. Very, very bad. I'll give you that for sure. Let's see. Sandman Games, Peterson, Sanger, Holmes, McLean. Yeah, and we're going to be obviously getting Manaea back, so that is great, but we'll see what happens there. Hopefully this is the last we have to see the bullpen game, but if we've learned anything from this first 2.5, almost 3 months of the season, it's that starting pitcher is very fragile. Starting pitching is very, very delicate. One of these guys is inevitably going to get hurt again, and then what? Where do we go after that? I guess Tidwell is your depth now. Griffin Canning is obviously gone and done for the year. Kyler McGill is not expected to return at the very best in late August. So where do they turn next? When does David Stearns finally say, okay, it's time we let Nolan McLean make his debut? It's time we let Brandon Sproat have his shot. We cannot continue to just give games away, and that is what they are doing when they pitch the likes of Justin Hageman and Brandon Waddell. Let's see. Sandman game or no, Joe Boo. Yeah, we need Joe Boo. That'd be nice. Explosive Diarrhea. What's up? Armand, in the other Mets news, ESPN has picked up the Giants versus the Mets on July 27th for Sunday Night Baseball. Thank you for letting me know, so I'll be able to mute my television for that. Don't want to hear that. I'll be listening to Howie Rose and Wayne Randazzo on my phone in the meantime, sync it all up. I think I saw something else here from Caden. Where is it? No, guys, I'm losing my mind here. Let's see. Irv Wall, Stearns need to stop operating like we are the Brewers for real, for real. I mean, dude, how you could think this is acceptable, with a $300 million payroll is just ridiculous. These guys pitching for us are just sacrificial lambs at this point. They are not going to be on the MLB roster in 2 weeks. So why even bother keeping them out there, trotting them out there for just an embarrassing loss, an embarrassing nightcap, and in which we get swept at the hands of the Baltimore Orioles after getting just laughed out of the freaking building after Stanek blows game 1. Just all around horrible day for the Mets. Alvin Solano, at this point, one wonders what compromising pictures does Eric Chavez have on David Stearns? Dude, he's got to have something, dude, because how Eric Chavez still has a job doesn't make sense. I don't understand it. Who said it? Red Bear Fox, I think, was saying when we were watching the Yankees series. I don't know if it's the Yankees pitching that has been so bad or if it's the Mets offense that actually looks good. Well, I think we have our answer now because the Mets offense looked pretty freaking horrible, not only in the 2 games today, but I'll be honest, even on Tuesday in their lone win in this series. Well, Eric Chavez's name once again comes to the surface. What do we do to fix this lineup? And if you ask me, you start by lighting a fire under their ass by firing their hitting coach, because he clearly has not developed any type of philosophy or any type of mentality that is working for this lineup that is filled with guys making tens of 20s of $30 million annually every single freaking year, and he can't find a way to seemingly make any of them better than what they have done throughout the rest of their career. So let's see. Red Bear Fox, I got you there. Explosive Diarrhea says, Sandman, if the Mets call me, maybe I'll give them one. A Joe Boo. Yeah, we could use a Joe Boo for sure. That would definitely improve this team. D-Rails, I'm not even going to speak on it. Well said. I don't want to speak on it either. Unfortunately, I have to because we're here and this is what I'm trying to do and trying to grow this channel, which, speaking of which, guys, be sure to subscribe if you're not already. Be sure to leave this video a like. Really appreciate it. Goes a long way toward helping me out here. Mets get embarrassed out of Baltimore, man. As great as that comeback victory was on Tuesday, today is probably, I'd say, 2 times more painful than the high that was Tuesday, because I did not think the Mets were going to get swept. I thought that we had a favorable pitching matchup in game 1 with David Peterson going against old man Charlie Morton, but Charlie Morton turns into friggin' Randy Johnson when he faces the Mets for some reason. And boneheaded decision from Mendoza to either put him in for the 8th or pull him as early as he did and go to Stanek. They blow that one, and then obviously we all knew the inevitable bullpen game was going to be a shit show, and that's exactly what it was. So not surprised, I guess, by game 2, but very annoying for sure. Let's see. Jess says last year Soto was excellent with people on base. I don't understand how he's been bad with people on base this year. Don't make sense. I don't get it either. I wish I could explain. You know who should probably try to figure out the answer to that? Their hitting coach, Eric Chavez. That would be the person they should probably trying to figure out the answer to that question. Why has Juan Soto regressed as egregiously as he has from year to year in terms of how he has been hitting with runners in scoring position? Wouldn't it be nice if there was a guy that was supposed to, take up his time every day? His job was to figure those things out. Oh, that's right. It's Eric Chavez, and he's not doing that, clearly. I don't get it. It's so damn. Russell Lepai, what's up? That is the only positive. Alonso can't do it every time, every game. At least Vientos is starting to have some good ABs. I mean, I can't even say that, dude. I got to be honest. I don't even know how you could say that because, yeah, he gets 2 hits today in game 1, but then in game 2, he looked just like the Vientos we've seen the rest of this year. 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts. One of those pitches right down the middle from Sugano, who doesn't even throw hard. So I don't come away moved by Mark Vientos' afternoon in any way. I feel like he's still just reaching for it. Keith's been saying forever he's got a loop in his swing. Okay, well, can Eric Chavez help him with that, or does Keith need to go down there and grab a bat and show him what's up? Because I'm not sure Eric Chavez is even aware that stuff like that is happening with any of his hitters. Clearly, none of these guys have made adjustments. I mean, these are just ugly freaking numbers after you get past McNeil, 213, 231, 236, 230, 178. I won't hold it against him because it's Hayden Sanger, but Terrence, who's regularly in there right now, 204. The OPSs, all below 700 with the exception of Beatty, who just reaches 700. I mean, this is unacceptable from a World Series team, a team that has World Series aspirations. I don't understand what is wrong with this lineup, and I'm sorry, but Eric Chavez has got to go. You got to try and find somebody else that can squeeze the most out of this group that he's been handed. And in the process, by the way, can we get a real freaking starting pitcher on the mound? Can we stop having these bullpen punt games from freaking Brandon Hageman, Justin Hageman, Brandon Waddell? I don't give a crap. They don't deserve for me to give them their proper first and last names together. Absolute garbage from this team tonight. We're going to, D-Row says, we're going to fire Mendoza or not? No, we're not going to fire Mendy right now. I mean, look, if they have a total collapse this year and they don't make the playoffs, like I'm sure it could be considered, but even then, I don't think they're going to do it. I do think generally speaking that Mendoza is a good manager, but I mean, he has been exposed here a couple times now over the last 2 or 3 weeks. There were probably way more that maybe I overlooked and other fans saw or thought. But me personally, I do think he's a good manager. I like that he's pretty even keel. He showed a little fire, got thrown out of 2 games over the last 2 weeks or so. But he has definitely pushed some of the wrong buttons lately. And I'm sorry, but I do have to attribute a lot of that to David Stearns not supplying him with MLB adequate talent, whether it's in the bullpen, whether it's on his bench, or anywhere else in between. Part of the blame has to fall on David Stearns. You think the Mets would have just got totally shit rocked today if they ended up having McLean pitching? I don't know. Maybe McLean doesn't have a great start, but do you think anybody in this lineup entered game 2 thinking, oh, we're going to get some solid starting pitching today. We're going to get some length from these guys. They're going to keep it close for us, even if we don't have the best at-bats to begin this game. Like, no. They knew what was going to happen, just like we as fans knew what was going to happen, because those dudes should not be pitching in a Major League Baseball game. Armand says Mets are now 3-9 in games started by Brosman, Tidwell, Blackburn, Hageman, and Waddell. Worth noting, Nolan McLean has a 2.52 ERA across 60 innings in a league where the average is 4.69. Armand, you need to be my stats guy. That is unbelievable. Thank you for sharing that with me. So the Mets are now 3-9 in games started by Brosman, Tidwell, Blackburn, Hageman, or Waddell. I mean, like I've been saying from the jump of this stream, it is unacceptable. You are punting away a game when you start one of these guys. It is not an option for this roster. Nolan McLean should have gotten this start today. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say, well, he would have just had an unbelievable debut, 6 innings of scoreless ball, but he would have given you a puncher's chance, not something that we got from watching those guys pitch today. I am just so freaking irritated about it. Stanley Babbage, what's up? Stearns can't keep prospect tugging. I mean, there's no big trade out there. So, like, it's not even that I'm like, we should have Luis Severino already, or we should already have Mitch Keller. So, you know, like the trade market hasn't picked up, but there's options he could have done in those 12 starts that he is now handed to the likes of Brosman and Tidwell and Hageman and Waddell. He could have gone to Nolan McLean before in this time. He could have just inserted Tidwell as a regular in the starting rotation by now. And I'm not saying it'd be a whole lot better. I think Tidwell's had some ups and downs. We've seen some marginal improvement, but at least he'd have a little more comfort instead of living out of a friggin' suitcase like he has been for the last 2 months, up and down between New York and Syracuse and all across the country. So there's a lot of different ways that Stearns could have approached this hole in their rotation. And unfortunately, I think he's handled it the worst possible way by giving major innings to dudes that should not be pitching in the major leagues. So I blame it on him as much as I blame it on the actual pitchers themselves and on Mendoza and some of his decision making. It's unacceptable for a team that's trying to win a World Series. Russell Lepi, just imagine NLCS saying a pitch is a beautiful game, and then Ryan Stanek comes in and takes a dump on the mound. This isn't a championship team. I mean, I think they are going to be getting a legitimate high leverage reliever to put into the back of this bullpen. It's going to bump everybody down a notch. I think they're going to get Brooks Raley back. They're going to view him as their left-handed addition to the bullpen. don't love the idea because who knows what he truly is going to be. I know he's been really solid in his minor league rehab assignment, but I don't want to just bank on him automatically to returning to form in the big leagues, especially if the Mets are lucky enough to make it into October. So I personally would like to get a lefty and a righty, and whatever you get from Brooks Raley is just gravy on top. But it definitely is concerning what we've seen from Stanek, and he is looking more and more like a guy that can only be trusted in the 6th inning, 7th inning to try to keep a game close and a 1-run difference. But even then, like, you just never know. It's a roll of the dice every time Stanek takes the ball out of the pen lately. So not good formula lately for the team. Sandman Games Chavez by August, bagging groceries at Whole Foods, LOL. They pay pretty well at Whole Foods, I'm pretty sure. You get discount, they got some good food. I mean, come on, that's not such a bad gig after all for Chavez, right? Let's see, Armand. The Mets have a 20-27 record away from City and are now 2-10 over their last 12 road games. Wow, not good. Really bad, actually. 2-10 over their last 12 road games, 20-27 overall. It ain't going to cut it. It ain't going to cut it. And a lot of these losses have come over the last month. They lost 2 out of 4 in LA. They got swept by Atlanta. They got swept by Pittsburgh. They lost 2 out of 3 in Philadelphia. And now they lose 2 out of 3 here against the Orioles. So that's, I mean, at least like 12 losses right there in that stretch that I just listed, somewhere around there. So yeah, lately it has been really, really bad when they are away from the comfy confines of Citi Field. Stanley Babbage said, or I'm sorry, let me go to Red Bear Fox first real quick. Morton has been outstanding his last starts. He's been good. He has been much better lately. Yes, I know I'm detracting from him and what he has been doing lately, but it's just frustrating, man. I mean, every time we face Uncle Charlie, he seems to freaking just shove it against us. Last year, we battered him pretty good when he was with the Braves still, but it's just damn annoying to see a 41-year-old like him come out and just shove against the Mets. But no, you are right on the money there, Red Bear Fox. Charlie has been pitching much better of late. Caden says, what do you think of Soto not running for the close fair ball? I mean, look, this is who Juan Soto is. He is not going to bust it ever unless he knows he has a play. Honestly, I don't think anyone gets to that ball. I don't think anybody with, outside of Usain Bolt is going to catch that ball. It was just an unlucky BABIP God cruel joke on the Mets that double fell in for Jackson, the backup scrub catcher who hasn't played a major league game since 2022, who of course went 2 for 4 with an RBI and scored 2 runs against us tonight because we're the Mets, because that's what always happens against us, right? But I don't blame Soto for that. Yes, it's not a great look. Not a great look in game 1 where he wasn't hustling down the line. Jackson Holiday bobbled that should have been easy ground out. He ends up being safe at first, fortunately, because I could not listen to all of the radio talking heads for the next week criticizing Soto for not hustling. But this is who he is, man. This is who he is. If he has a 900, 940 OPS bat, then I can live with it. But I won't get on him for not giving his all-out sprint for that ball down the right field line in the 5th inning or 3rd inning, because that 2nd inning, whatever it was. I don't think he was going to get to it. I don't think anybody really would have. But let's see. Stanley Babbage, do you trade Vientos? I mean, I'm willing to trade Vientos, but in what type of trade? Like who are we getting back? Who else is a part of the package? Because trading Vientos right now is basically going to get us a reliever at best, at very best. And I'm not doing that. Like if we're talking a package that includes Vientos, that will also have to include some high-end prospects to get a big name like a Jarren Duran or like a Byron Buxton, then yeah, I won't blink at trading Vientos, which is crazy because I never would have thought I'd be saying that after the year he had last year. But I'm willing to move any of these baby Mets in the right trade for sure. It just depends on who else is going in the trade and who's coming back to Queens. D-Rails, Beatty, great defense. Psych, dude, I don't get what the metrics see with Brett Beatty. I'm sorry. This dude is so freaking annoying. Like he can have 4 outs above average. Yeah, that's great. But he sometimes, I'm telling you, you just never know what you're going to get with this dude. You just don't. Like that ball just one hops right into his glove and it just pops right out. Like what the hell? And that at that point, you just knew the game was over. Made it 5-3 instead of keeping it at 4-3. And yeah, I don't know what the deal is with Beatty, but I don't actually think he's as good a defender as the metrics truly say. I'm sorry. I use the eye test and I weigh it with the metrics and with the stats, and the eye test tells me he is not nearly as good of a defender as the metrics would suggest. Elvis Solano, Eric Chavez is a lost Remulot of the Moneyball era. Yep. I mean, dude, he wasn't even featured in that Moneyball movie, man. How did you, if you're going to hire anybody that was in that movie, you got to go with Eric Hatterberg, right? Or something like that. You can't go with Eric Chavez, who didn't even have a role in the friggin' movie. Come on now. Herb Wallace Vientos is a big disappointment. The league has adjusted to him after mid last year and the playoffs. He looks lost. And I don't even know what they're really doing. I mean, they're not throwing him a lot of strikes. And then when they do throw him strikes, he's just swinging right through it all. So it's like, dude, what the hell happened to you? And that is where a good hitting coach might be able to come in and help him. But we don't have one of those. We have Eric Chavez, who basically says, just go up there, see what happens. It's fine. Kind of like David Stearns today with the bullpen game. Just go out there, Brandon Waddell and what's his freaking name? Justin Hageman. It'll be fine. Let's just see what happens. No, we just lost a brutal game one. It's all right. Go ahead. We don't need this series. It's cool. We'll drop a full game to the Phillies in the standings, even though they didn't even play today. No problem. I don't like the lack of urgency from this team. Not only the actual players on the team, which we see on a day-to-day basis like today, but also from the manager and from the general manager in the front office. I don't like the lack of urgency. Let's see. D-Rels says, Stanley Babbage, what trade value does he have exactly, right? Sandman Games, it's like 10,000 spoons when all you need is a knife. I've never heard that saying before. That's exactly the way to put Vientos, Beatty, Acuna, and Ronnie Mauricio. It's like having 10 spoons when all you need is one knife. Like everybody says, we got a third baseman on our roster. We already got two. Well, none of them are getting the job done. That's the problem. Not on a consistent enough basis, at least. So yeah, great. We have 4 of them. Okay, great. Which one's the best? We still don't know. All right, well, then maybe we should trade for a proven commodity at one of these positions. Damn. D-Rel says, Herb Wallace, Beatty got to go. I overlooked what? D-Rel says, I overlooked what? The defense from Beatty at third? I've always said Beatty's not a good defender. And then I looked at his stats the other day. It said he was 4 outs above average. I can't really argue factual, objective stats, but I've always said I thought his defense was overrated at third base. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm trying to balance it between the eye test and what the stats and what the metrics tell me. And what my eyes tell me, Beatty's not as good a defender as the metrics say, but I still got to respect the numbers. They are what they are. But I don't still think that Brett Beatty is an excellent defensive third baseman. People want him to win a Gold Glove. Get the F out of here. That's not even close. Explosive diarrhea. Irv, I agree. So sad to see Vientos fall this hard. Let's see. Sandman Games. Alvarez goes to AAA, hits 4 home runs his first few games, so you know it's Chavez messing with his style. Just let the guys do what they need to do, and if they need help, they will ask. I mean, look, guys, I have never spoken about a hitting coach as much as I have this year. That should tell you exactly who and what the problem is. This is a lineup filled with superstar talents. Lindor, Alonso, Soto. Superstar might have been a little bit of an overstatement, but those 3 guys are all some of the best hitters in baseball. Then you got Brandon Nimmo, who on the periphery of that kind of really, really good offensive profile type of player. We thought we were going to get it again with Mark Vientos after he popped 27 homers last year. That's not been the case. Haven't seen really much improvement at all with Beatty, Acuna, Mauricio for the most part. Who does this all fall on to me? It's the hitting coach. Eric Chavez has not squeezed out enough from this lineup, and that has to fall on him. I would have him fired immediately after they finish Sunday's finale of the first half. Start afresh new, a second half that begins with a new hitting coach, and let's get it going, because this is just unacceptable from this line. Let's see. Explosive diarrhea. Sandman backs our offense down their race to come up and look terrible. Yeah, as far as the guys getting going in AAA. Alvarez has definitely looked a lot better, which is good news. Let's actually take a look at his numbers really quick. Francisco Alvarez got sent back down. It probably would have been, like 3 weeks ago now or so, and has definitely been thriving for the Syracuse Mets, which is obviously a really good sign. I don't know if we have. Let's just go by game log because he spent obviously that first part of the season with AAA during his rehab assignment. But Alvarez was sent down to, where is it? Come on now. Can you give me his minor league stats? Like, why do we gotta make this so hard? Okay. Is this including MLB? And it must be, isn't it? God, what are we doing here? Come on. You're killing me. I'm just gonna have to go to Metsmerized. It's the easiest way. Let me do this real quick, guys. Let's do it. Oh my God, I'm starving. What should I have for dinner, guys? I don't know. Tell me. I need some comfort food. Give me some advice in the chat. What should I do for dinner? Give me suggestions. Francisco Alvarez thriving in AAA. Well, tell me about it. Let's see what he's been doing. So, following a rough start to start the season in the big leagues where he was hitting 236, 319, and a 332 slug, he's been doing much better in AAA. So, since his demotion, Alvarez has a 256 average, a 326 on base, and a 590 slug, including 4 home runs in 11 games. So, yeah, that's good news, but he's also facing AAA pitching. So, I mean, I'm not going to believe it until I see it at the big league level, if I'm being totally honest. Like, got to see him come back up and do what he's doing down in AAA right now. And it's just a complete different ball game comparing MLB pitching to AAA pitching. Know who's pitching in AAA? Let me tell you. Brandon Waddell. Guys like him. Guys like Chris Davinsky. Guys like Justin Hageman. Guys like Rico Garcia, guys like Ty Adcock, guys like Tyler Zuber are pitching in AAA. Maybe that's why he's doing as well as he is. Maybe that's why the Mets are blowing games before they even step foot on the field like they did today in Game 2, because we have those guys pitching in the nightcap of this doubleheader. So I'm just saying, it's not the same ball game. We got the wrong guys in AAA. And we got the wrong dudes on the MLB roster is what this is only telling. What a friggin' sick joke we got on our hands here. Stanley Babbage, Winker returned from injured list too soon. I mean, he was away for like 2 months, man. How much longer do you need for an oblique? I get it. It's professional baseball, but dude, I don't know. If the team was cleared him, then he should have been fine. But obviously, yeah, you can't believe it, man. Right back to the injured list. Now it seems like, dude, you can't depend on him to come back and not get hurt again. So you're either going to have to give a call to a guy like Drew Gilbert or Ryan Clifford, or maybe even all the way from AA and Jet Williams, or you're going to have to add another thing to your to-do list at this year's trade deadline, because you simply can't just assume Jesse Winker is, 1, going to come back again this season, 2, is going to be productive, and 3, is not going to get hurt again. So you got to go find a replacement for Jesse Winker at this point as well. And you could totally change and reshape that entire DH position at this point, because who knows what the deal is with Starling Marte. Is he going to come back again? Is this going to be a prolonged injury for him? Is he going to be productive, or is he going to look closer to what he was for the first month and a half or 2 of the season where he couldn't hit a lick? So lots of question marks coming out of this series in Baltimore, guys. Drop your thoughts. Let me know in the comment section what's your main takeaway from this series. For me, I think it's, I don't even know. I'm just pissed off. I don't even deal with this crap. What the hell? Red Bear Fox says, no, I'm sorry. First, Irv Wallace. Mauricio's the third baseman. Beatty can be traded, and Vientos is a DH or a backup. Oh, wow. Interesting. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it yet. I thought I knew. I thought it was going to be Vientos as my third baseman. That obviously has not worked out. Then I thought, well, maybe it'll be Brad Beatty because he plays the best defense out of all of them. But then you saw some pretty good D from Ronnie Mauricio. You saw him hit a home run the other night. But then you saw some really piss-poor at-bats from him after that. So I just don't know, man. It's like the flavor of the month, except the contest is which flavor tastes the least shitty between Mauricio, Beatty, Vientos, and I guess to a degree Acuna. But really, we're just focusing on third base. Flavor of the month. This one tastes the least terrible. Let's go with him. I mean, this is not a World Series roster, if that's what you're trying to figure out. Who hurts us the least? Who is the least of the bad players that we can put out there? I mean, that is just not what a team with World Series aspirations should be doing. But Let's see. Red Bear Fox can't use Alvarez as same sample of Chavez being bad. Alvarez has been a terrible hitter since day one, and he's got a terrible batting average in the minors right now, too. 4 home runs doesn't mean much. Yeah, the BA is definitely low. I think let's see what his on-base percentage was because, I mean, dude, he was chasing a lot of pitches out of the zone as well. 326, I mean, obviously better than what he was doing at the big league level, and I would take that in the major leagues, but I have to imagine it's going to come down below 300 when he does start facing major league pitching again. So definitely not good enough. Red Bear Fox, think about it. Hitting 256 in AAA. Yes, we love it. He is killing it, man. Explosive Diarrhea, Sandman agree. The same thing happened to Gary Sanchez. They screwed him up with all that launch angle crap like they did with Alvarez. I really hope Vientos is just having a down year. And that is up for David Stearns and the scouts and Carlos Mendoza to evaluate and determine, is this just a down year? Is this just a sophomore slump from Mark Vientos? Or is he truly a one-year wonder? Was last year just the blip on the radar? Or is this year being bad the blip on the radar? And I would not want to be in that position because honestly, I could not tell you. I really could not. I just don't understand what has happened to the dude. But it's killed this team because David Stearns thought that if not Vientos, that Beatty or Mauricio or Acuna would step in and consistently be able to secure that job to steal it away from Vientos, and none of them have seized that opportunity. So let's see. Explosive Diarrhea, and the Mets didn't ruin him as well. Joe, too many AAA players in the lineup. I mean, dude, there's probably 7 or 10 dudes on this roster right now that don't belong on a big league roster. I mean, like, you got Acuna, who probably doesn't look like an MLB player at this point. You got Waddell. You got all the dudes in the bullpen we could run through. I don't know about Beatty, Mauricio, Vientos at this point. I mean, Hayden Sanger, obviously. It's just been a shit show. Sandman games, we have been facing minor league pitching for a week and a half, and we ain't any better, to be honest, LOL. So Alvarez getting away from Chavez, good example. Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I would fire Chavez yesterday. I've been saying it for weeks. I don't think it's going to happen at this point. You see the stars we're facing the past week or so, LOL, and we're lucky to have to average 3 runs a game. Yeah. Well, Charlie Morton getting hot right at the right time. Same for Gunnar Henderson, and they both kill us today in game 1. And then they really didn't need anybody to kill us in game 2 individually because the Mets had a bullpen of slop throwing the second game. And in the end, the Mets get swept, and they lose 2 out of 3 to Baltimore in what I thought was a very winnable series. What I thought the Mets were definitely going to make their 3rd consecutive series victory before heading out to Kansas City and hopefully taking a 4th consecutive series before the All-Star break. That is not how it went, though. That's how we drew it up, and that's not how it goes. So very frustrating, guys. 7-3 loss for the Mets tonight. 3-1 loss in the opening game of the doubleheader, and now we head out to Kansas City. And like I said, guys, when you go to bed tonight, when you put your head on the pillow, do me and my girlfriend a favor, please. Pray for Tony, because I am going to tomorrow's game and I am going to Saturday's game as well. And if the Mets lose both of those games, it is not going to be a fun car ride back or trip to Kansas City this weekend. So for my girlfriend's sake, pray for her, because I cannot handle watching the Mets lose both of those games with me in attendance on Eric Hosmer 2015 World Series bobblehead night tomorrow after the way they just got swept in today's doubleheader. So when you put your head to the pillow, little prayer, a little thought about Tony Metro and Tony Metro's girlfriend, because I can't handle that. But guys, jokes aside, really brutal day. I appreciate you guys all being here on the stream. I went a little nuclear there, but I think we all do as Mets fans from time to time. Hopefully they can bounce back. In 2 out of 3 this weekend against the Royals. Don't limp to the finish line of this first half. Like I said, we'll be there live at Kauffman Stadium for tomorrow and for Saturday's game. Post-game recaps don't stop, though. We'll have a quick one from the stadium immediately following the final pitch of that one. But guys, thank you so much for being here, not only for this recap, but for the Game 1 recap as well. If you're not subscribed already, be sure to do that. Post-game recap after every single Mets game and daily Mets content. Leave this video a like. Really goes a long way toward helping the channel, so I appreciate that from you guys as well. Let me say my very quick thank yous. Noah Meisner coming in at the buzzer, LGM. Thank you, Noah. Thank you, Sandman Games. Thank you, Daniel Caps. Thank you, Stanley Babbage. Thank you to Sandman Games, already said you. Thank you to Joe, to Explosive Diarrhea, to Red Bear Fox. Thank you to Irv Wallace. Thank you to, I said you, Stanley Babbage, but I'll give you another pop. Thank you to Caden. Thank you to Irv Wallace. Thank you to Elvis Solano. Thank you to Russell Lapai. Thank you to Jess C. Thank you to, who else I got here? There's got to be a way I could just see everyone without scrolling through this whole damn thing, right? Wouldn't you think? Thank you to Artemon Thing. Thank you to Absol. Thank you to Mark. Thank you to, who else am I missing? Sandman Games. Omar Nunez. Thank you to Armand, who's coming in with some straight facts. I appreciate that from you, my guy. Thank you very much. And thank you to everyone else that was watching but did not comment. Really appreciate you guys doing it. Like I said, leave this video a like. Be sure to subscribe. Both of those things help me out a lot. And you won't know if I'm going live, which I do after every single Mets game, but easier to find me that way. You can also turn channel notifications on so you know when I post new content or am having another rage-induced stream about the Mets pissing me off. But guys, thank you so much again. Another post-game recap from Kauffman Stadium tomorrow night. Live as the Mets hopefully can bounce back and get a series opening win against the Royals. But until then, I am Tony Metro. Stay true to the orange and blue.